Welcome to Learning to Glow, a show about wellness, skin health, and self-development. I'm your host, Jess. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and skincare expert. I'm so excited to share tips on how to achieve healthy skin and bring amazing guests in the field of health, fitness, aging gracefully, and personal growth. Let's explore all different ways we can take care of ourselves as women, both inside and out, to truly shine. So let's get glowing. Hello and welcome to Learning to Glow podcast. Thank you for being here. I am Jess, your host, and today we have a really great episode with Lisa Gornall. We are going to be diving into morning routines, and this was a timely episode for me because I'm in the thick of summer, as we all are, and if you're a mom, you know that sometimes the mornings can be a little chaotic, and I was just thinking of how my morning routine has got a little out of control this summer, and I wanted to clean it up a little bit. And then I found Lisa, and I love this episode so much because a lot of times I see things online that are just not realistic for me. I see people and they're like, wake up at 5 and they do a morning routine that is so complicated and timely, and ice bath and meditation and journaling, and this is not that kind of episode. All of those things are great, and I do some of them, but to think that I could do them every single day before my kids get up is unrealistic. So I love this episode for tips that we can incorporate into our life that are free and, energetically speaking, are so powerful. So Lisa is a spiritual medium and mentor, author, and mindset energy strategist. She guides high performers as they go from overwhelmed and overworked to operating at their next level with her programs such as Success Wound, Your Life Accelerator, I Can Have It All, and The Successful High Performer. Lisa teaches simple yet highly effective practices that get amazing results that are repeatable no matter how busy her clients are. She works with clients individually and with high-powered teams. She helps her high-performing clients create sustainable success and work-life balance. In this episode, Lisa shares her top tips for strong morning routines to lead to a successful day. We touch upon how to start the day from an energetic standpoint, and one I don't find that is talked about too much when discussing morning routines. I love the tips that you can do even before getting out of bed. We dive into roadblocks for a healthy routine and great tips for moms who need to remember to take time for themselves. This is me. And this episode was perfect timing, like I said before. I loved Lisa's wisdom on this topic, and I've been implementing her tips since we spoke every morning. I would love to hear your thoughts on this episode after you listen. Send me a message on Instagram. I'm at Simply Jess Skincare. Let me know, are you already doing some of these things? Would you be open to implementing them? Lisa is so amazing. You're going to love this episode. And here she is. Hi, everyone. And today we have Lisa. Welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I love to start all of my episodes with just if you could give us a brief introduction, what you do, all of that good stuff.
Yeah. So my name is Lisa Gornall. I'm a spiritual medium. So that means I was born with the ability to become one with energy. So I see past lives. I can see the future. I can see the energy that you're storing in your body, and I feel it in my body until you truly clear it and let it go. And I can also read the energy of the people around you as well. So I use all of that to help high performers, that's who I love to work with, create sustainable work-life balance, and even more importantly, sustainable success, because we do not have that in the world right now.
Oh, that's so amazing. I'm so excited about what we're going to talk about today, but your background is so incredible. So I want to talk first about, you talked about energy. And so let me talk about the topic first. We want to talk about morning routines, evening routines. And it's so funny that we recently met because I was just telling my husband this week, I feel like I need to dial in my morning routine. And literally, here we are 2 days later after I said that. So I think I love the energy piece, but I want to talk about how the morning routine and our evening routines can really set us up, and the people that you work with too. I mean, it's just means everything when you're getting ready to start your day.
Well, we're kind of taught in society just to run, right? We wake up from bed running. Do not keep your phone next to your bed. Anyone is the worst thing you can do, because you wake up and you just start running from the moment you touch your phone until you go to bed at night. What are you doing? Looking at your phone, right? So we need to create some systems throughout our day to help us not feel like we're just constantly running. And so the way that we do that in the morning is by having a morning routine. And most people don't have one, because they just get into their emails, they get into their messages, they get on social media, and they're off to the races. So I recommend that you do not touch your phone the first 30 minutes minimum that you're awake.
Okay.
Because you need time to, like, who knows what you dreamt about, where you went in your sleep, what was going on. You need time to start your day in a balanced way. And when you do that, that energy will carry throughout the rest of your day. But if you start your day just scrambling from emails to running to make coffee, getting kids out the door, whatever it is that you have to do, you're already running. And that energy just continues. And that's why you're exhausted at dinner time, usually 3 p.m.
Yeah. And that's good that you mentioned the kids, because I have a lot of moms who listen to the podcast, and we're in summer right now. And I feel like this, if anything, this is a perfect time to talk about kind of setting up a system and ways that we can kind of start our day off on the right foot. Because when you're a mom and your kids are home, it can be, you feel like you're a little bit out of control in a way. And so do you have some tips for moms in that regard?
Yeah, as a mom, I have an 18-year-old, a 20-year-old, and I have a 26-year-old stepson. So I do have some tips for the moms. And this goes for everybody. So when you wake up in the morning, I want you to, before your feet touch the ground, I want you to bring in some white light. White light is God, love, universe, source, whatever you want to call it. But it's the energy that balances and aligns us. It's what we are, right? You've heard we're born into the light. We cross over into the light. We are the light, okay? But we want to make sure that we just begin our day by just taking 30 seconds, maybe 5, maybe 10, if you got kids pulling on you or dogs pulling on you or whatever. But bring that white light in from the top of your head. Let it go gently and easily through your body, down to your feet, into the earth. Your feet do not need to touch the ground. You can just be laying in your bed, and give yourself a few I am statements just to support you. I am peace. I am balance. For the women that feel like everything's falling apart and it's crazy, I am supported, right? It doesn't matter, but you want an I am statement that's just 3 words. I am something. So this is before you even get out of bed. Once you get out of bed in the morning, take care of yourself. Get dressed. Put your makeup on, do your skincare routine, do all the things that you need to do, because the second that you leave your bedroom and bathroom, all bets are off, right? Especially if you have kids this summer. So make sure that you take care of yourself before you walk out of the room.
I love that. I actually have my own skincare line. It's a natural skincare line. And I love that you said that, because I think if you wake up and you're kind of just hit the ground and you don't take that time for yourself, I mean, there's been days where I'm like, it's 5 o'clock and I have no makeup on. I have not showered today. And I know it happens to all of us at some point, but I think starting that day in a more, okay, let me do these things for myself. That's such a huge win to start your day.
And everybody drinks something hot in the morning. I don't drink coffee. The caffeine does not work with my intuitive abilities. It gives me a headache. But I start my day off with a hot cup of detox tea. And what's the worst thing you can do? Scroll through your email, scroll through social media. You're already distracted. You're off to the races. So if you can just take that drink and just hold it and just breathe in the steam, look outside. Like right now it's summer, so I am sitting outside overlooking my pool. I'm watching the butterflies. I'm watching the birds. I'm looking at the fruit trees. I'm just really grounding into my day before I'm overwhelmed by everything that can happen or that has to be going on. So we want to just make sure that we're doing that. And the other thing we want to do, especially women, make sure you eat breakfast. They say that women need to eat breakfast within 1 hour of working to make sure our hormones stay balanced. So make sure that you're eating within an hour of getting up in the morning, because we like to put it off. Oh, I'll just throw something down for the kids and I'll just get things going because I got to get out the door. I got to get to work or whatever it may be. Ladies, if we do not take care of ourselves, who's going to take care of us? It's going to be 11 o'clock. You'd be like, I'm not dressed. I haven't eaten anything and I stink, right? We can't have that.
So when you wake up in the morning, and I love the breakfast piece. Actually, I think I'm like a lot of women who for a long time they didn't eat breakfast. And
Very
in my
common.
head, I was like, I'm just not hungry. But I also had like 2 cups of coffee on an empty stomach. And of course, I wasn't hungry until later. But how incorporating that, I think it's been a good year of having breakfast, and it's amazing. Like it
Hmm.
makes the hugest difference. And I don't have like these spikes either. Like
Hmm.
it just keeps me more balanced
Yeah,
in
if
my
you
day.
have a nice protein breakfast, like we always have eggs, some sort of breakfast meat. We always have that in the morning with some fresh fruit. We're good. If I don't have that in the morning, if I eat like bread or like a pastry or something that I bought for my kids, I'm in trouble. By 12 o'clock, I'm like, I am famished. I'm so hungry. What happened? But if I have a nice breakfast, I feel good. So, ladies, if you have a nice breakfast, you're going to be more patient. You're not going
Oh,
to be
for sure.
hangry. You're not going to be irritated. And so all these little things just help us with our energy.
So, what are some of we're talking kind of, health and things that we can do like with the warm water and the food. What are some of the other things that you like to incorporate into your morning routine that are along those same lines before you start your day?
I think that letting go should be a part of every process that we do. I wrote about it for 40 pages in my first book. Letting go is something that we don't do. We don't have time to deal with it. We're going to deal with it later, right? And so as you're going throughout the day, if you're finding like you're irritated about a meeting that you have, or a family member said something to you that bothered you, or a kid's doing something and you're irritated, we cannot carry that energy into the rest of our day. It's going to already kind of plummet us down. If you think about our energy like a battery, right? Think about your cell phone battery, right? If somebody irritates you or agitates you and that takes 20% of your energy, and let's say you didn't even sleep good that night or you overspent your energy the day before, sometimes we're only starting with 30% energy. And
Mm.
if we have things that are like irritating us in the morning, maybe the coffee machine's not working, maybe we spilled the herbal tea all over the place, maybe, the stove's not working, whatever it may be, we need to incorporate just letting that energy go and not storing it in our body to deal with later.
So, can you give us some examples of how you would do that? I mean, I think one of the things that I started doing recently is, and I don't do it every single day, but I started journaling in
Mm-hmm.
the morning, like before I
Mm-hmm.
see my kids, before everyone's up. What are some other ways that we can learn how to do that and let go?
Yeah, so I'm so glad you brought up journaling. I don't like journaling. None of my clients do journaling. And the reason for that is because when we journal, we're putting our energy into that paper. And then where do we put that paper? Usually somewhere in your room.
Mm.
The energy is staying in that paper because we're not letting it go. I mean, we kind of let it go, like we put it onto another medium, but the energy is still there. So if you want to journal, that's totally fine. Just make sure that you're letting go. So what is letting go? Letting go is pulling the energy out of our body and letting it disappear into the light. So we all have a space we like to store our energy to deal with later. For women, it's the throat. So if you don't speak your truth, you're going to be always like my throat's bothering me, right? Your chest, you might feel like your chest is heavy or something's pressing on your chest. And the third area women love to store energy in is your stomach.
Mm.
A lot of women store all the energy in their stomach, right? Their sense of self and all that wonderful stuff. So notice how those three areas feel. Like when you bring in the white light in the morning, notice how the energy feels. And then if the white light's not coming through a space, or if you're noticing something when you're bringing the energy through, now you know I need to do letting go in that space. And letting go is just pulling it out like smoke or like weeds. And you want to put it back into the white light, give it to God, give it to universe, give it to source, whatever you believe in. We don't want to just throw it out there in the house. I used to do house clearings. Then you got negative energy thrown around your house. Very common places to store energy in your house, like if you have 2 stories, is the middle of the staircase or right outside your bedroom, which is great. We know we don't want to bring the negative energy into those places, but it's still in our house. We want to just take the energy and let it go so we can be free.
Oh, I love that. So, for you and like your clients, do you have like a specific order in which you do these things? Like, say you wake up first thing in the morning,
White
do you
light.
have like the white light? Okay.
Before
That's
you
your
even
first
get
thing.
out of bed. First thing you
Okay.
do before you even get out of bed. And then obviously you can go to the bathroom. You should wash your face, pick out your clothes. Some people pick out their clothes the night before. There's a lot of stuff out there on clothing, right? And in the spa industry, a lot of people just wear black. I worked in the spa industry for years, right? So you don't have much color selection. You're just going to wear something black. But for those of you that do get to choose what color you wear, the colors represent something. So sometimes you might say, I'm just going to wear gray tonight. Like that's the energy I'm feeling. And then you wake up in the morning, you're like, no, I need soft pink. So there is like a little piece to putting together your clothes in the morning if you feel like you have the bandwidth to do that, because then you can wear colors that are going to support you and make you feel good. And I don't like to go into too much of the details of what the colors mean, because then people are like, I have to only wear this color because I like this color, or I want this to be the case. You want it to be an intuitive process where you're like, you know what, today I really want to wear green. Today I feel like blue, right? And just listen to that. And so you get ready, you've got your face cleaned, you got your clothes picked out, put your makeup on, leave the bathroom, go get your beverage, whatever it may be, whether it's warm water with lemon or coffee or whatever, and just enjoy that time and drink it.
That's great.
And then you can start checking emails and stuff when it's done.
Right.
Have a work start time too. I haven't talked about that. Like we've lost that, especially during all the COVID stuff. We lost having a start time for work. You have to have a set time, even if it changes each and every single day, because we cannot work all the time. So you need to be like, okay, today I'm starting work at 10. That's when I'm going to start to do stuff. And you don't do anything with work before then, because you have to have a life outside of work so you don't burn out.
I know, it's so easy to do that, right?
So
like
easy.
All of our information for our work is on our phones, and which is right by our bed a lot of times. And so it's a
My
challenge.
phone's in the kitchen.
You keep it in the kitchen.
My phone's in the kitchen. My kids are still at home most of the time, but even if they are traveling or whatever, what am I going to do in the middle of the night? And I used to have people that come to me when I would work at like Four Seasons and I would do meditations there, and they'd be like, but what if my kids call me, or what if my parents need me? I'm like, what are you going to do at 2 a.m.? Well, I can like start planning a flight or whatever. And I'm like, at 2 a.m.? I'm like, you're going to be so much better doing it in the morning when you've had a full night's sleep to address whatever crisis, whatever problems have arisen while you were sleeping. And so we need this separation. And so you don't need to have your phone in your room. And it's actually recommended that with the EMF it gives off, that we don't keep the cell phones in our room. Put them in your kitchen. Make it far away so that way you're not tempted in the morning when you wake up just to get on that phone and like start scrolling and messaging people.
Yeah, and I feel like it's tempting the night before too, right? Like if it's by your bed, and I'm so guilty of this, and I'm really working on it. But if you keep it by your bed, what are you doing right before bed? And you're on your phone, and then
stimulating your brain,
right?
And then you can't fall asleep.
And like, who knows what you're going to come upon, like there could be, I've seen videos where I'm like, I really wish I hadn't seen that. And now I have to go to bed. Mm-hmm. So that's a good point. And it leads me to a question about the ways in which from personal experience, like the mornings that I really succeed, or I feel like, you know what, I had a great morning, everything was smooth. It really did. It was because of my night. Mm-hmm. And like what happened the night before. When I first started my wellness journey, I had already been in the skincare industry for years, working on client skin and as an educator for multiple skincare brands. When I learned about how the toxins in our personal care and beauty products could have a negative impact on our health, I knew I needed to make a change. I was used to the result-driven products that I was working with, and I was not happy with the natural products on the market at that time. Although they were safer and cleaner, they did not meet my expectations for results. I created Simply Just Skincare to deliver the results my clients demanded from their products while using natural, toxin-free ingredients. You can check out my clients' results and reviews on my website, simplyjustskincare.com. In 30 days, my clients have reported more hydrated skin, less appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and more of an overall glow. Our top sellers include our Repair Toner, our Hydrating Undo Serum with hyaluronic acid, and more. I am offering my listeners 20% off their first order with code PODCAST. Check it out in the link in my show notes to get glowing today. So I want to talk about evening routines and like what suggestions do you have for us? And do you find that to be the case? That a really strong morning routine does start the day before at night.
I agree with you. And I don't know why most people do not have a nighttime routine, because if you have children, they 100% do have a nighttime routine, or they're not going to bed. If your child does not have a nighttime routine, they will be up until like 11, 12, 1, whatever. We need to start telling our body and our brain that it's time to shut down. My husband hates my nighttime routine process. It's about 45 minutes.
That's great.
But you know what? Like, that's my time to really unwind. And when my head hits the pillow, I am out. Anybody that's ever slept in a room with me can verify that information. Like, I am out. So if you want to talk to me, or if you want to be, I need to know before my head hits, because I will sit there and I'm out. So when you're getting ready for bed, obviously we want to clean our face. We do not want to sleep in our makeup. I like to mask. I have different masks because, I'm from the spa industry. So I like to have a different mask every night. I'm putting on a different mask. And then I take my shower, and I take my time in the shower. I mean, I am in San Diego. We're not in a water drought right now. I'm not taking a 30-minute shower. But in my shower, I'm letting go of anything I picked up from the day, anything from my kids, my husband, pets, whatever it may be. I'm like just kind of like letting it go down the drain. It's just a final clearing for me. Even if I don't even know I'm carrying something, it's just a way for me to let go again. So we have that letting go in the morning, and then we have it again at night. Because if we're carrying any stress, tension, worries to bed, how are our dreams going to be?
Chaotic.
Not good. Yeah. So we want to make sure that we're letting go. I always shower at night. I know a lot of people shower in the morning. That's why I didn't have that in my routine, because that's not what I do. But you can obviously do this in the morning as well. But at night, if you're not going to take a shower, like, make sure you're washing your face, you're washing your hands, and you're just letting go down the drain. Okay. And then you're going to do some energy work before you fall asleep. This is where I like to tell my clients to just bring in some abundance, right? We ask for all these things. We do all this gratitude work and journaling work, and like, there's all this stuff. And where we struggle as humans is in allowing ourselves to actually receive everything that we've just been asking for. So when I get into bed at night, I bring a soft pink light into my chest, into my arms, into my hands, and into everything around me. And I say, I allow abundance, which is more than money, to flow easily and effortlessly into my life and into everything around me. And then I do it to my husband, and I put a soft green in between for our family. And I bring it into our family as well. And then I'll bring in a white light from the top of my head down to my feet into the earth, just to help me get into a good space again. And I'll say, I am peace, I am calm, out. I'm asleep. There is no more.
That is awesome. I love that. It's such a great mental like wellness routine, really. And something that it leaves you, I'm sure, like, you don't do screens before bed. So it's like 40,
My
is it the
phone's in the
45?
kitchen.
You're in the kitchen. Yeah. So
Yeah.
is it like 45 minutes before bed? There's no screens or anything like that, pretty much? Okay. I love that you use you talk about the skin and that as a ritual, because of course I've been in the spa industry for years too. And
Everybody sees our faces.
yeah.
Everybody sees them. That's the thing women don't do. They don't get the facial. Like, you need the facials. You need to do the skincare. You need to take the makeup off. And while you're at it, let go.
Yeah. And I think especially as we get older, the things that we used to get away with, when I was in my 20s, I actually was really good about taking my makeup off just because I was in the industry. But so many people I knew would just like go to sleep with their makeup on. And now, as we're getting older, you really can't get away with doing that. That's really going to age you even faster. So I love that you talk about that piece. And then the masks, it's just it's such a self-care, like it just makes you feel so good inside. And it's such a great thing to do before bed. I also love doing like the facial gua sha, anything that can help you relax. But it's also like such a special treat for your skin. So I love that. So what would you say to someone who said, I don't have time. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for, doing all of these things in the morning. I'm too busy.
Yeah, a lot of my clients say that. And you know what
Mm.
I always say? You also don't have time to burn out. You don't have time to get sick, and you don't have time to injure yourself, because those are the things that happen when we're running the candle at both sides, right? When we're burning the candle at both sides, we don't have the time and the energy to do that. And so we absolutely do have time. Take away some of that time that you spend scrolling on social media. Maybe say no to some of those things that you shouldn't be saying yes to. Stop making our plates so overfull that we feel like we have all of these things to do, right? For
Right.
what? We're not
Right.
superwomen. We're not supposed to be like that. We're not supposed to be always over giving. And earlier when I talked about, like, think about your energy like you do your cell phone battery. And I talked about how, like, we're always draining it. Any self-care that we do helps us bump that battery back up. That's how we recharge. That's how we replug. So if you're running around all haggard and overwhelmed and overworked and exhausted, there's no badge of honor for that. There's no reward for that. What's going to happen is you're probably going to get sick. And I know, because I did it twice in my career. So I know that if you put everybody else's needs above your own, you're in trouble. I had a client she was a high executive, and she would, stay up until 2 a.m. because that's the only time that she could get time to herself to read a book or do whatever. She was exhausted. She was always sick. Like, there are consequences to those behaviors. So we get to decide, are we going to run ourselves into exhaustion, overwhelm, and burnout? Or are we going to take care of ourselves inside and out so that we can live a life that we love every single day? Because if you're overwhelmed, you're not living your life. You're haggard. You're stressed.
Yeah. I think, and I don't know, I feel like there was a term for it, but there was a bunch of talk about this online where moms would put their kids down at night and be like, okay, now this is me time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done this, by the way.
I
And
did this too. That's why I knew
yeah,
not to do it. Yeah.
yeah. It's like,
This
okay,
is how we learn.
that's right. I thought, I'm going to stay up and watch all my shows because I deserve it. And then I'm going to drink all the wine that I want because the kids are down. And then I'm going to go to bed whenever I want. And then in the days that I was doing that type of thing, I woke up in the morning like, why did I do that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
well, especially the wine at night like that, it's going to take you down.
yes. Yeah. I mean, I think that's also going to interrupt your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to wake up at 3:00 in the morning and need a glass of water. But I do feel like it was something like I finally get a moment to myself, but really the best gift was to just go to bed, get in bed, do all of my things that are helpful for me, and then read a book or whatever it may be. I feel like also when you're on screens at night, it gives you this like false sense of being awake. Like I'm not tired. You're watching something, you're being entertained, and then when you shut it off, you're like, oh, like I'm exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this false sense of energy that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like when I get into bed and I open my book, I'm like, whoa, I can read 2 pages and I'm out because I'm so physically tired.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's all that stimulation, right? And so we want to, just like we have a start time to our workday, we need to have an end time to our workday. And we need to tell our kids, and we need to teach them by showing them that self-care is important. If mom doesn't have self-care, she's not a happy mom. I'm going to say no to these things you want. When you're, asking me for all these things, I'm going to be like, no. And you'll be like, why are you yelling at me? Because I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and I'm overwhelmed. We've got to make self-care a priority. Like we're heading out of town next week. Monday, we have massages coming to the house. Tuesday, I have my facial. My kids know that stuff is scheduled in the day, and it's been scheduled in the day for as long as they can remember, because self-care is what recharges us. And self-care doesn't even have to be spending money, right? It can just be going for a walk. It can be doing anything like exercise. Like as women, we need to exercise to release that stress. Go outside, touch a tree, smell a flower. Like self-care does not have to cost money, but you need to see, or your children need to see you doing it so that way they develop those habits as well. And I always like to tell my mom clients, what would you tell your child? Would you tell your child that, all this work that they're doing and staying up until 2 a.m. reading books is okay? No. If you wouldn't tell your child it's okay, pretend that it's like the reverse situation so that way you start treating yourself with that same respect and honor that you give your children.
Yeah. And also I love that for the modeling for them, because it is true. Like if you are waking up in the morning and you're not taking that time for yourself and you're exhausted from the night before, it's really hard, like you said, to have patience and to be like excited about the day. It's that feeling of waking up and being like, like I really feel like that does start the night before, where you can really set yourself up for a great morning. And I feel like for me personally, I do have to wake up earlier if that's something that I want to do and I want to preserve my morning, because I feel like when I wake up and my kids are already up or they wake me up, then it's kind of like, okay, there goes any time that I would have to do the things that I want to do. It's just out the window.
I hear you, but we also need to be very careful, because what we're doing as this generation, raising our children, we're basing our lives and everything that we're doing around them in a way that our parents didn't do for us. And then that's not per se real world, right? And so They need to see you taking that time. Your kids can be present when you're exercising. Your kids can make sure that they see you eating healthy foods. They can watch you go outside and like stand in the sun and take a deep breath. They can know that you're getting a massage. They can know you're getting a facial or whatever it may be. We need to start educating this generation so that way they know this is important to me and it's going to be important to you. And this is what we're going to do.
Oh, that's such a good point. I love that because one thing I like to do in the morning is get out and just look at the sun for a second, like put my feet on the grass. But I never thought of maybe saying, "Hey, you guys come out here and do this with me." That's such a good point. And I love that.
My kids, I mean, being a medium, my kids had no choice, right? So like they would be like getting crazy when they were little. I'd be like, white light. I'd bring my hand up and they'd be like, no. And I'm like, I am calm. And they're like, no. And I get to their stomach and be like, I'm calm.
Oh
right?
my gosh.
So whenever we're teaching them, like these are life skills. I mean, the hustle culture is pretty much starting to die out now. We're realizing like it doesn't work. Now we're all still stuck in it. But we're not like, this is the only way to success, because now we don't even know what success feels like when we get there because we're so stuck in the hustle and whatever we're doing is never enough. I call this the success wound, and I have a whole program on the success wound. But we really got to start taking care of ourselves, because when we take care of ourselves, we can give from a full cup.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the kids need to see it.
They do. And I love that. I love that point of also going back to like how we were raised. And I think in a lot of ways, I do a lot of the opposite because it's not what I grew up with, but I'm also really grateful that I grew up that way. And I was just talking to somebody about this. I was always so independent. The things that I could do at a very young age were really great qualities to have as a young person and as a young adult. And I never struggled when I went out into the world. I knew what I was doing. I had been doing it for a while.
This generation, because I have those kids, it's not the same experience. My kids are doing very well because when my kids were in first grade, I was like, okay, you need to make your lunch. I don't know what you want in it. Here's all the things. You know, to this day, when we go to the grocery store and we're pushing the cart, they're putting what they want into the cart, like what they're going to eat, what they know. A lot of kids don't even know how to make a sandwich.
Right.
Some kids don't even know how to make hot chocolate right without exploding it all over the microwave, right? So we need to not try to make their lives so much exponentially better than ours that we're setting them up for failure in the future. And there has to be a balance. Like they need to help with chores. They need to help with all these things. It's all important for their future.
It is. And I know that from, the way that I was raised, truly, I was made to do many, many things that probably in the moment I was not happy about. But now looking back, I'm like, it was the greatest gift, really. So do you have any other tips for us to kind of optimize our evening routines and really set us up for success in our days?
Yeah. The only other thing I would really add in that's a quick energy practice is just saying, I am grateful. And like being truly grateful for whatever that is, like from the top of your head, through your body, down to your feet, into the earth, because that brings you into the present moment. In the morning, we're so focused on like what we have to do next and our day and our meetings and our appointments and getting this person here and this person there, right? And at the end of the day, we're often like, okay, tomorrow morning, I got to do this. We've got to be more present. This is where our power is. This is where things happen, okay? Our thoughts, words, and actions are based on this moment. So I am grateful, and like try to do it throughout the day as needed. Like I am grateful, and don't make it a routine, because if it's a routine, there's no energy in it and it's not going to matter. You need to be like, I am grateful for this chair. I am grateful for the grass. I am grateful I can take this deep breath. Something that you're truly grateful for in that. And, as women, we want to be like, I am grateful for my family. But if your toddler or your child just did something that you're not going to be able to be like, I am grateful for my child, when you're not grateful for your child. Things that you're truly grateful for in that moment.
And that feels like such a great way to, like, if you're, what we talked about before, if you wake up in the morning and you're like, ugh, like just to focus on that gratitude can really turn it around in such a great way. So I love that tip.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for being here. You have to come back and share more, because
I would love
there's
to.
a million things we could talk about. But for all of our listeners, can you please share where they can find you and all of that good stuff?
Yeah. So my website is my name, Lisa Gornall, GORNALL.com. I hang out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And I have a YouTube channel as well with tons of videos and tips to help you balance and get out of that overwhelm.
Well, I'll make sure I link all of that in our show notes. And thanks again for being here. It was such a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe and review so we can reach more people who want to learn to glow alongside us. See you next time.